Welcome everyone to our March 2023 product launch. My name is Leishan Gargano, Release Train Engineer at Scaled Agile, and we're excited to show you what's new. I'm here with Imbar Oren, our Chief Product Officer, to kick us off. Welcome, Imbar.
Thanks, Leishan. It's great to be here.
So our mission at Scaled Agile has always been to continuously unlock better ways of working. Tell me more about that mission and how it defines what SAFe is.
Well, SAFe is the world's most trusted system for business agility. There's not a week go by that I'm not humbled with stories about how companies are using SAFe to make the world a better place, to engage with their customers, to build a future. It works by building a culture of resiliency and a shared language that engages employees and focuses on customers. SAFe promotes collaboration, so today's leaders can build a better future. It's a full solution, including the framework and all the learning and practice assets, which we'll learn more about later, as well as a partner program and an engaged community of SAFe professionals.
You know, as an RTE and SPC, SAFe has really helped me in my job because it evolves in response to change in the world around us. And in our roles, that's so important that we keep up with that change, you know, from globalization, moving markets, disruption. So what's happening in the evolution of SAFe right now?
All of you trust us to keep evolving SAFe, continuously unlocking new ways of working by researching proven patterns with our partners and our customers, and turning them into knowledge, learning, and practice. And recently we've been in the field, we've noticed some interesting patterns, we've harvested them, and now we're really excited to share a new version of SAFe 6.0. This is an important evolution in what we offer and the ability to really achieve business agility. And I think we should hear more from the people who actually helped build it.
Absolutely, and I know exactly who I want to talk to first. Our Scaled Agile co-founder and lead methodologist, Dean Leffingwell. Thank you for being with us, Dean.
Thanks, Leishan. I'm glad to be here to talk about one of my favorite topics.
Well, let's dive right in. Why would we change a proven framework that is delivering value to tens of thousands of global organizations and government agencies?
Good question. You're right that the framework is already absolutely integral to the way of working for adapting to change, building resiliency, and thriving as a modern digital age business. But the answer is also obvious. How could we possibly not? Well, none of us can predict the future. We do know with certainty that it will be dominated by increasingly complex digital technology, software, hardware, cyber-physical systems, much of which only existed in science fiction until recently. And in the future, whether we are addressing truly existential problems like climate change and geopolitical conflict, or bettering people's lives through access to advanced and affordable healthcare, or even by simply putting more fun and leisure into fun and leisure, it is clear that we've entered a new digital age, one where our imagination is only limited by our ability to develop the technology needed to manifest our vision for a better future.
And we know we're at the beginning of the digital age, certainly not the end. And our friend Mick Kirsten says, those who master large-scale software delivery will control the economic landscape of the 21st century.
And I think that's a wake-up for most every enterprise. It's clear that the fate of all organizations, from nonprofits to government agencies to for-profit companies, will be ultimately determined by how well they master the technical competence needed to thrive in this age of challenge and opportunity. It means that the opportunity and mandate to help those who build the world's most important systems, and to do so faster, better, cheaper, and frankly, with more sheer enjoyment in their lives, lies ahead, not behind us. Scaled Agile is a leader in improving the way of working around the world, and it's our opportunity, and indeed I think it's our responsibility, to lead the next decade as effectively as we've led the last. The future demands a better SAFe.
So let's talk about what that is, because 6.0 is a big deal. And I know we have limited time here, but briefly describe it to us.
I'll try to do it in a limited time. That'll be hard for me. It's significant and it's different, and it will challenge everyone to be more agile in their way of work, to know their value stream better, to operate more efficiently, and to deliver better outcomes to the business, their users, and the customers. It's probably easiest to think of SAFe 6.0 in terms of 6 release themes. It is SAFe 6.0 after all. Let me describe them briefly. Then when you talk with Andy, he will go into far more detail.
Let's dive right in with the first theme, strengthening the foundation for business agility.
We have updated the foundation to better support business agility and to more directly address the flow of value. Core values have been refined and restated. We've elevated respect for people and relentless improvement to core values, and that's the most prominent position in SAFe. The Lean Agile mindset has evolved too, highlighting the 5 principles of lean thinking, which really now form the basis for the way we think about developing and implementing Flow.
We've heard a lot from people looking for guidance about empowering teams and clarifying responsibilities.
I've said often, nothing beats an Agile team, or maybe perhaps an Agile team of teams. And further enhancing performance requires clear responsibilities for each SAFE role. New and improved guidance with visual responsibility wheels have been provided to help people better understand their responsibilities and better support the organization's goals. The better these are understood, the better the work flows. And as the work flows better, the more empowerment we can grant.
And I know we've been really excited internally about accelerating value flow.
Right. The biggest news about SAFE 6.0 is the way in which it accelerates the flow of value. And since it's flow, there isn't just one place in which this happens. It's all over 6.0. We're obviously really passionate about improving flow, and SAFE 6.0 is a quantum step forward. That's what I'm most excited about. The stronger emphasis on lean thinking principles, the new value stream management article, the expansion of Principle 6 to making value flow without interruptions. How explicit is that? And the 4 new flow articles are a big part of the improvements in flow and SAFE.
A lean agile transformation will touch every part of the organization. So tell us about enhancing business agility with SAFE across the business.
As one part of the business accelerates, it reveals bottlenecks and opportunities in others. That's kind of what flow does. In the end, business agility requires everyone to learn how to perform their work by better applying lean agile principles. SAFE 6.0 provides new patterns, they're puzzle pieces, if you will, that could be pieced together to extend agility across the entire enterprise. I think that's potentially a really big deal.
Absolutely. And achieving business agility also involves technology.
Right. That's why one of the themes is building the future with AI, big data, and cloud. These are 3 emerging and synergistic technologies that have become critical for competing now and in the future. They're changing the nature of application development, and they're changing the nature of applications themselves. These applications make decisions people used to. In some cases, people couldn't. Think deeply about that. The application we launch is then going to make decisions on its own. That should be a little bit scary. We simply felt that all software and system-dependent enterprises should know about them and how these technologies affect the organizational models and the application development lifecycle that SAFE describes.
As an RTE, close to my heart is delivering better outcomes with measure and grow and objectives and key results.
OKRs can indeed be an effective tool to help drive better outcomes for the business and its customers. While the usage of OKRs within SAFE is optional, they're particularly well suited as a way to describe portfolio strategic themes, objectives for value streams and arts, and a few other good use cases. Andy is particularly passionate about this topic. You'll have a hard time getting him to be quiet about this one, and he'll expound on that in a moment.
That was a fabulous summary, Dean. You have given us a lot to think about and explore with SAFE 6.0.
I hope I did.
And I have a lot of questions for Andrew. Joining me now to talk about what's new is Andrew Sales, SAFE Fellow and Framework Product Manager. Andy, Dean introduces the 6 primary release themes of SAFE 6.0. Would you take us through those in more detail and explain why each one is so important?
I'd be delighted to, Alicia, but before we get there, I just want to take a moment to announce that SAFE 6.0 and the brand new big picture is live today at thescaledagileFramework.com.
That's fabulous.
It's great news, and also don't forget, in addition to the 6 themes, every single article behind that big picture has been updated, the guidance has been improved, and we truly believe it offers the best information that enterprises need to be successful with SAFE.
That's so good to hear. And I know a lot of folks start with the big picture when looking for guidance. And now, as Dean mentioned, the first theme is focused on strengthening the foundation of business agility. Tell us more.
Absolutely. So the foundation, as you know, includes the mindset, the values, and the principles. And we see time and time again that organizations that truly internalize these are the ones that are most successful in changing their ways of working and ultimately changing their culture to one based on lean and agile. So we're delighted that in SAFE 6.0, we've added in the lean principles to that foundation. And those 5 principles really help us to embed product and value stream thinking in the core of everything that we do. Now, lean principle 3 in particular talks about making value flow without interruptions. And I know Dean emphasized how important flow is for us in this release. You've also seen, Leishan, that we've updated Principle 6 to be the same title and focus on exactly the same thing.
And as we know, business agility is the goal of SAFE. So how are we supporting that with SAFE 6.0?
So business agility has been the goal of SAFE for some time, and we talk about business agility as the ability to compete and thrive in the digital age by responding to opportunities and threats through the digitally enabled solutions that these enterprises deliver. In SAFE 5, we introduced in one of our extended guidance articles something called the business agility value stream. And this was a really useful way of looking at the operating model that organizations need to adapt and put in place to be more responsive to the threats and opportunities that they're seeing in the market. This was such a good way of explaining the why behind SAFE and the need for the 7 core competencies that we've elevated this to the top of the big picture, and it's now a primary way of explaining what business agility looks like.
You mentioned lean agile practices, and the first thing that comes to mind is continuous learning culture.
That's right. Continuous learning culture, Leishan, of course, has been a core competency in SAFE for some time now. But in SAFE 6.0, we've added it to the foundation. And what that means is regardless of the configuration of SAFE that you may be implementing, it will always include continuous learning culture. The reason we made this change is because we truly believe continuous learning culture represents the management paradigm of the future. Organizations that invest in things like becoming a learning organization, relentless improvement, innovation, will build the resiliency they need to adapt to anything thrown at them in the digital age.
And the second theme, empowering teams and clarifying responsibilities, is critical to achieving the business agility we just talked about. Can you expand on that?
Absolutely. So implementing SAFE will often require a change in the roles that individuals are executing, and organizations that successfully support their people in moving to these roles and embodying them are the ones that are likely to have the most success. So with that in mind, we went back to every single role in the big picture, and we asked ourselves, what are the key responsibility areas for each role to be successful? And as well as defining those, we also visualized them through what we call a responsibility wheel. And this is a nice, easy to understand graphic that we think are going to put organizations in a great place as they start to embody and bring these roles on board.
And I know there's a particular change for the Scrum Master role.
There is. The Scrum Master role in SAFE 6.0 now has an alternative title, the Team Coach. And we did that for a very simple reason. We're seeing that some organizations are not choosing Scrum as a team methodology for every team. Some teams might be implementing Kanban, for example. So now there's a simple choice. They can call this role the Scrum Master, or they can call it the Team Coach.
And what about how these roles collaborate in SAFE?
Well, collaboration is key, of course, in any Agile approach. And there are some key roles in the big picture where collaboration is truly important for them to be successful. Things like the system and solution architect, things like the product and solution management roles. So for those 4 roles as a start, we've asked ourselves very carefully, what key collaborations do they need to be successful? So if I give you an example, Leishan, something like the product management role, we know they have to collaborate with product owners to help them develop the solutions. They have to collaborate with the RTE and the system architect to help steer the train. But of course, they also have to collaborate with the business owners and customers to align on outcomes. And all of this is now captured in those role-based articles in a way that we haven't done before.
Let's move on now to what Dean called the biggest news about SAFE 6.0, accelerating the flow of value.
Yeah, absolutely. So accelerating the flow of value is critical to organizations to be able to beat the competition and meet the needs of their customers. Over the last few years, as we've developed SAFE 6.0, we've spent a lot of time thinking about flow and how we can accelerate flow. It's important to point out, of course, SAFE is a flow-based framework, whether it's teams delivering stories and iterations or epics progressing through the portfolios. You see flow at every single level. But we really started to ask ourselves, what are the properties of every flow-based system? And we realized very clearly that there are 8 properties regardless of where the flow is taking place. Things like batch size, queues, working process, or even the people doing the work. And once we understood that, it really unlocked the possibility for us to develop some really powerful guidance around that.
That sounds like a really big breakthrough.
It really was, because once we understood the properties of flow, we also knew how we could address them to improve flow. So what we have now is a system for safe enterprises that starts with diagnosing flow through the flow metrics. Next, identifying problems by understanding these properties. But then finally, taking the necessary improvements through what we call the 8 Flow Accelerators. And these are the remediating actions, the tools that they have available, if you like, to correct and improve flow at every level of the organization. The other thing we've done is to take these 8 Flow Accelerators and through 4 articles, 1 at each level of the framework, we describe specifically how to apply them, for example, to teams, art, solution trains, and also portfolios.
I know teams can't wait to get their hands on flow guidance as well, and we've seen more and more of them adopting flow-based practices.
That's right. Now, as you know, Leishan, we've always had Kanban available as a choice for teams in terms of an Agile methodology, but in SAFE 6.0, we've deepened this guidance. So if you click on the SAFE Team Kanban article now, you'll see it describes the events, the day-to-day practices, and also how Kanban teams need to work to integrate with the wider Agile release train.
I know one key enabler of flow is built-in quality, and it's also an area of focus in SAFE 6.0. What guidance are we offering there?
Absolutely. So we're taking a brand new approach to built-in quality. What we've realized is that depending on the domain that you work within, built-in quality can look very different. So if you're working in a business function versus building a software application, developing IT systems, or even working in a hardware or cybersecurity domain, you're going to be applying different built-in quality practices. What we did realize, though, is in addition to that, there are a set of basic Agile quality practices that apply regardless of the domain. So things like shift learning left, peer review and pairing, and things like automation will work well regardless of the type of work that you do. But specifically, for example, if you're developing IT applications, things like cybersecurity will be a concern. It may not be a concern if you're working in a business function. So this new guidance, the new IP we've developed, really allows us to be much more context specific, and we think it's going to help safe enterprises really apply built-in quality to the work they do.
Another big question many have related to Flow and Safe is around value stream management. How is that represented?
We've added value stream management as an icon within the portfolio on the big picture, but it's worth pointing out, of course, since version 2.5, we've recognized value streams in Safe, and we've talked about their importance and how we think about maximizing the value we deliver to our customers. This new article, though, does a great job of explaining to leaders the role they have to play in taking ownership of this and supporting improvements through the whole end-to-end delivery lifecycle so we can maximize business outcomes.
That's an important addition. Now let's move on to the themes of enhancing business agility with Safe across the business.
This is a theme that we're truly excited about because we've seen time and time again that organizations that take Safe outside of technology into the business are the ones that are truly successful with achieving business agility. And after all, if we can't sell, deliver, and operate our solutions, we ultimately can't deliver value to our customers. The goal of Safe for some time, of course, has been business agility. What we've been able to do in this release is work with our customers and understand the patterns they've used to bring Safe into the business, and this is what this theme describes.
Can you give us a quick overview of those 5 patterns?
Absolutely. So it starts with what we call a business-enabled art, simply an art that may have one or more teams from the business required to develop the solutions they're working on. The second one is what we call a business train, and this is a little bit different. There's some nice examples in the article from the healthcare industry where they're using the organizational construct of a train not only to develop but also operate and run their business. The third one is what we call a combined portfolio. We've seen a number of organizations now applying lean portfolio management practices not only to their development activities but also their operational activities. And then, of course, an agile business function. Enterprises where they aspire to roll out lean and agile ways of working across an entire marketing function or an entire legal department. And then finally, the agile executive team. Executive teams that are using agile ways of working to think about how they organize, how they define, communicate, and align the organization to the strategy.
Thinking about the C-suite trying to execute on strategy, we're seeing 3 technologies, AI, big data, and cloud, emerge as part of these strategies. But they struggle to understand how to harness these for competitive advantage.
That's right. And it's worth saying initially that any organization that develops a digital solution has the opportunity to harness AI technologies for their benefit and their customers' benefit. But as you mentioned, they're finding it very difficult to understand where these benefits lie in terms of their opportunities. We actually saw in our research that only a single-digit percentage of the business cases they put together ever become operational. So the articles, the AI article, starts by helping them understand where these opportunities lie, the key decisions they need to make, the priorities they can take, and also how to build an AI capability inside their organization. But as Dean mentioned, these are synergistic technologies. If you don't have big data, you can't train the AI algorithms. If you don't have the cloud, you have nowhere to store this big data. So these articles go hand in hand to help enterprises really understand how to harness these general purpose technologies for their benefit.
And the final theme focuses on measuring outcomes and the impact of the improvements we put into place. Tell me more.
And as Dean mentioned, this is one I'm particularly passionate about, Leishan. Now, we have, for some time, talked about measure and grow. This is our approach, our model, if you like, to helping organizations understand where they are on their journey towards achieving business agility. We've continued to invest in this model in the latest release, and the model talks about 3 key measurement domains that are critical to understand to know where you are on this journey. The first one is competency. How proficient are we in the skills needed to achieve business agility? The second one is flow. How effective and efficient are we at delivering value to our customers? And the third one, of course, is outcomes. Are we meeting the outcomes of our business stakeholders and our customers? And I'm delighted to announce that in that last measurement domain, we've now added OKRs, objectives and key results, as one approach to defining outcomes.
And I've also seen the benefits of OKRs in creating alignment from strategy to execution. I'm interested in hearing more about that research.
So you know that in SAFE, we've always encouraged the use of OKRs in defining our strategic themes. That's been there for some time. But our research showed that there are 3 additional optional use cases where they can be useful. The first one, as you mentioned, is helping us to create that alignment between strategy and execution. So we're seeing great benefit in organizations creating objectives that describe the work to be done across the value stream, across the Agile release train, making it easier for people who work in those to understand the connection of the work they do to the overall strategy. The second use case is using OKRs to better define the business outcomes of the business cases we're putting together. And we're also seeing that once you've done that, the key results attached to those objectives help us to better understand how we can test the hypotheses attached to those outcomes. Now, the final use case, one that's really interesting, is the application of OKRs to defining transformation goals. The reason this is so useful is it ensures organizations are aligned in terms of what they're trying to achieve before they embark on this journey. And of course, the key results allow them to measure the progress they're making and take the necessary steps to improve along the way. More information is available, of course, in the OKR article.
Well, I know what I'll be reading more about when we're done here.
Well, thank you, Leishan. And I just want to say a final thought, if I can. We're truly excited by this release. We believe that SAFe 6.0 provides brand new guidance that speaks to those both in technology and in the business at all levels of the framework. And it also talks about both existing and emerging technologies. And we hope that the new guidance we're providing through this update is going to be of huge help to organizations as they strive to achieve business agility through the application of lean and agile ways of working.
Thank you, Andy. I can't wait to dive into 6.0 to start applying these themes. Well, now I'll ask the question I know everyone in our community is thinking. What resources can we access today to take advantage of this great new information? And to do that, I'd like to welcome Tamara Nation, our Senior Director of Product Management.
Thanks, Leishan. It's great to be here. And I do have that answer, by the way.
I knew you would. So what can people get their hands on right now and how?
Well, we heard Dean and Andy talking about how SAFe 6.0 is a major release. So we've been brainstorming about how we could make all these products and tools work together from the get-go. We put a lot of thought into how we can make these new learning and practice products easy to use and accessible by you and your teams. So you'll notice that everything from our online learning to our courses, to the toolkits, to the videos and the framework articles all fit together with consistent language and imagery. And I think you and everyone will be thrilled to know that the courses you need to get started launching SAFe 6.0 ARTS are available today, including Leading SAFe, SAFe for Teams, Implementing SAFe, Lean Portfolio Management, and our role-based courses for Scrum Masters and Product Management. You can begin teaching these today. We're also simultaneously releasing the 6.0 update for Leading SAFe in 7 languages: Brazilian Portuguese, Chinese, French, German, Japanese, Korean, and Spanish.
Wow.
I know. So we're excited that our global customers can take advantage of all these new concepts through the revised courses and really celebrate with us the launch of SAFe 6.0.
That's fantastic. So what should people do first to get started?
Upgrade to SAFe 6.0. We've improved and simplified the upgrade learning plan by using clearer language about what's changed and why. All of the themes that are important to you in your SAFe role are in this online learning series. And when you complete it, all of your certifications and digital badges get upgraded automatically. So you can share with your colleagues and your social networks that you're ready to go with SAFe 6.0. And as you get started using 6.0, for example, if you're a trainer, all the materials are upgraded as well. The trainer guidance, including enablement videos, the trainer guides, toolkits, courses, all aligned to 6.0. So as you prepare to teach your first SAFe 6.0 class, you're up to speed with detailed release notes.
As an SPC, I found the upgrade experience extremely valuable, and I'm betting a lot of those resources map to some key 6.0 themes.
Definitely. All of our SAFe 6.0 materials have been updated to align with the new language and the new imagery of the big picture. And we've also updated our role-based courses and materials to align with the themes of empowering teams and clarifying responsibilities, as well as accelerating value flow. Speaking of flow, it's always been a part of SAFe, but we've updated the SAFe 6.0 resources to really better articulate, include discussions on work and value flow. Specifically in Leading SAFe and Implementing SAFe, we've added topics on Flow Accelerators. And in SAFe for Teams, we've introduced several topics that highlight how to improve flow, like SAFe Team Kanban, Flow Accelerators, and Team Flow Metrics. And there's some really amazing new videos on these topics as well.
And along with Flow, we heard Andy talk about value stream management getting a promotion to the big picture. So what will we see in assets to support that change?
The value stream mapping concepts and practices really are essential to help individuals, teams, and organizations really focus on that smooth progression of work. So we've been delivering assets for a while to help organizations achieve this. Like last year, we introduced the value stream mapping workshop. Now, value stream mapping is a key activity to help teams and arts really deliver value and products to customers faster. And I know, Leishan, you know this, it's really hard to facilitate those workshops. So we created facilitator guides and enablement videos to really be more clear and specific about what needs to happen before, during, and after the workshop, and how to navigate any potential facilitation challenges. So I was talking to a customer this week, and he was explaining how the facilitator guidance moved one of his coaches from like negative confidence to 100, and that the workshop and action plan were really a huge win for him and the whole team.
Absolutely. I really appreciate the improved guidance to remove the pain inherent in value stream mapping. So let's talk about about getting clarity through metrics. Of course, metrics have been part of SAFE for a while, but we know people struggle with metrics in general. How do the improvements to metrics in SAFE 6.0 help solve that struggle?
Well, we were really listening to customers when they talked about that struggle. We refactored Leading SAFE and SAFE for Teams and the RTE courses to spark those right discussions for the roles at different levels in the org, the right discussions at the team, at the art and portfolio levels. So really understanding and applying the right metrics for your organization is part of the improvements you'll see in SAFE 6.0. And it's really worth your time to dig in and look at those metrics for Flow so you can really understand them and apply them in your context. And to help you with that, I'm really excited about the videos like Measuring Flow with SAFE that really explain that well.
And they really are actionable. I like to show teams the Flow videos and discuss how they can apply them right now.
Yeah, you know, another tool for that are the competency assessments. So we see organizations using these more and more to drive improvement in key areas, like the team and technical agility assessment, which I know you just ran. And that coupled with growth recommendations can really help teams focus and deliver on the improvements they want to get better.
Yes, and I see that with my teams all the time. They have been energized, right, by the actionable nature of this, the focus it gives them. So absolutely.
Yeah, and the good news there is all of those have been updated to SAFE 6.0 and they're available today. You know, I've really only talked about a small portion of the number of things we've updated from the different online learnings, facilitator guides. All of them are ready today on the platform in 6.0. So I really encourage you to complete your upgrade and start exploring today.
Thank you, Tamara. I know I'm excited to check out what's new on our platform and start putting SAFE 6.0 into action. And speaking of our platform, Imbar is back with some intriguing news. Imbar, that was some exciting news about SAFE 6.0.
Absolutely. I'm so thrilled about this new guidance, which is now available at scaledagileFramework.com. I'm also excited about how all of you will use SAFE 6.0 to work differently and build the future.
What about enterprises that are currently using SAFE 5.1?
They don't need to worry. Let me reassure all of you. SAFE 5 is not going away anytime soon, and you can find it at safe5.scaledagileFramework.com. But I think, Leishan, with all the great things in SAFE 6.0, they will want to upgrade very quickly.
That's great to know. What can you tell us about what's new on our platform to help enterprises get going with SAFE 6.0?
Well, as you know, managing a transformation to SAFE is not a simple thing. There are multiple moving parts. We have to do it across an enterprise with a lot of departments, in multiple languages, in many countries. So we think it's very important to think about our platform. And we're excited to announce the next version of our evolution of our platform, which we're calling SAFE Studio, which we think is going to help people be very successful with SAFE 6.0.
That's amazing news about SAFE Studio as the new home for SAFE transformations. Thank you, Imbar. I'm here with Elisa Kirkpatrick and William Camersell, Directors of Product Management, to give us a deeper look. Welcome. So how would you describe SAFE Studio?
SAFE Studio is solving a very specific problem. We've been hearing a lot that people are constantly trying to find things. What we're doing now is we're combining the framework, the community, and the collaboration tools into one seamless experience. I like to think of SAFE Studio as the single platform for all things SAFE.
Absolutely. It's going to be your home for your whole transformation. The login you use today for Safe Community is going to be the same login you use for Safe Studio. From exploring the framework to taking a class and self-paced online learning, and even putting that into practice, it's all there for you. We want to make sure Safe Studio has everything you need.
Learning, practicing, managing, and connecting. That sounds wonderful. So, what are we seeing today in particular with this launch?
So today is the first step on this new journey of Safe Studio. We're really excited about where it's going. We have a bold vision. We're going to talk about that today because we can't keep it to ourselves. We want to make sure that everybody can see what we imagine is going to be the future for Safe Studio, and also talk about what's today in this launch. There's a lot of amazing things ready to go.
I'm really excited to talk about it too. And I know for SAFE, a lot of us, our first interaction is in learning. So what is the vision for learning in SAFE Studio? How will it change the experience for the future?
The learning experience is changing a little bit. We're combining classes and learning and growing all in one place. We're going to have a variety of content and experiences within that. There's going to be intelligent framework articles, media, and related content that's grouped together so that you can go from one to the other seamlessly. There's also going to be a modernized learning experience for class participants, where they'll have access to both their class and their study guides all in one space, so they don't have to jump around anymore. There's going to be integrated learning modalities, including podcasts and other content. This will all be done in global languages to allow people to have a global workforce all related to SAFE. And there's going to be enterprise playlists, where the enterprise can curate an experience for the individual users with a mixture of different media types and combine it to tailor for the employee's specific roles.
It's great that the podcast will be there in particular. I really like to walk with those and stay up to date. But we know putting SAFE into practice is really what it's all about, right?
Absolutely. I've gotten the chance to work with many product managers, RTEs, and Scrum Masters, and they get that foundational understanding of the role in the classroom. And what we're doing is we're making sure that we can bridge that into on-the-job practice. That means giving access to things like facilitation guides so they can see, oh, it's my first time I'm running this event. How should I do it? And if their instructor used the Safe Virtual Classroom to easily set up those activities ahead of time, they'll have used the same tools that are now available to them in the Safe Studio. So they can just, with a couple clicks, be ready to go, and that stress goes down and that confidence goes up as they get ready to practice their role. And that's just the start. We're looking for more ways that we can support transformations with things like portfolio funding and applications to help there. Measure and Grow, which a lot of organizations have used to assess where they are and identify their growth recommendations. We're making that experience even better so that you can see how you're tracking over time and get access to the right practice changes for you. All of this showing how your transformation evolves over time and how it comes into practice is what Safe Studio is about, making it your home as an enterprise to get it done.
That all sounds great, but a bit overwhelming. It will take some really strong management to pull that all together successfully. How does Safe Studio support that?
So Safe Studio will help with management in a few key ways. One of the big ones is Org Visualizer. We're going to have a view where you can see who your employees are, who they're certified, what they can teach, and what arts and teams are on. So it'll help you untangle and organize your SAFE transformation. Additionally, organizations will be able to see how people are using SAFE and what classes they're taking, what videos they're watching. And with this, that information will allow them to support and connect people to learn and train together. Ultimately, this will help the entire organization as a whole transform together. And in the future, we're going to have more global access to all this so that across the globe, the organization can move together as one.
We want to make sure Safe Studio works for every enterprise context, and that means being an enterprise-grade platform. We do a lot today, from GDPR compliance to leading security practices, and we're going to make that even better by showing it off with SOC 2 compliance. Single sign-on, we're excited there as a way to easily get learners in without having to set up separate accounts for them. And we're expanding that accessibility that is today in the platform so that anybody can join and get access in the way that makes the most sense for them, be it mobile with responsive designs, at the office, or as we said, podcasts on the go and other ways.
So we know that SAFE is more than an enterprise or a framework. It's a worldwide community, right, of people that can connect. And as an RTE, when I first started, connecting with that community meant a lot to me for learning and growing, and being able to give back to that community means a lot. So how will Safe Studio support our community?
I love the community. I'm so proud to be part of the more than 1 million folks trained with SAFE. And I take advantage of those forums today that we have. And we're looking forward to how do we make it so that it's even easier to meet other folks, to learn and share with each other, to grow together. There's so much understanding and knowledge being created out that we want to make sure that you have access to it as well. So we're going to streamline that experience. And it's not just digital connection, it's physical connection. I was so excited. Last year, we had our first SAFE Summit back in person, and we've got 2 more planned this year. And it was so great. And I'm catching up with recordings because I couldn't be everywhere at once. And have you gotten a chance to check them out in Safe Studio?
I have. Yeah, the Oracle one has been my favorite. I got a lot out of how they're connecting finance and IT for business agility. But I've also really enjoyed what the partners had to say. There was just amazing tidbits in each of those presentations.
The partners are such experts, and that expertise that they can bring to the transformation is vital. And so we've expanded the partner finder and the training calendar with new options to help folks find those partners. So filters and a new display help you see exactly what types of partners can match my setting, and reach out to them, contact them, find a partner that's going to help you, because it's so much easier when you don't do it alone.
That sounds amazing, and I want to get started right now. So what can I do today with Safe Studio?
Safe Studio today, when you log in, it will have the Safe 6.0 upgrade on the home screen right in front of you. You'll have access to Safe 6.0 from Safe Studio and from the framework content, all right there in one space. This will include what's new and where you're going, as well as recommended content based off your role. In the future, as you're reading and growing, each of the different recommended contents will adapt with you for your role. So create one nice seamless experience for both your classroom and for your practice to do what you do every day in Safe Studio.
Thank you so much for sharing all that wonderful information about Safe Studio. I can't wait for everyone else to experience it for themselves. Now, I would like to welcome Imbar Oren back to the stage.
Thank you everyone for joining us for the Safe 6.0 launch. Remember that right now you can find in Safe Studio your upgrade, the framework content, as well as other things related to your role. And very soon, more things are coming, making everything available in a single platform. Success doesn't come alone, so I encourage all of you to go to the partner finder in Safe Studio, find a partner that can help take your SAFE transformation to the next level. Please share your feedback with us, telling us how Safe 6.0 is working for you and where it's not. This is how we make SAFE better, improving it all the time. I hope to see all of you in person in one of our upcoming SAFE Summits, either in Prague in May or in Nashville in August. Thank you.